everybody, welcome back to my channel. Obviously, I look very familiar from the previous video because these are just going to be coming out. These are going to be coming out because like I said in the last one, I'm done with 2025. So we're going to be talking about our most surprising books of 2025. We have a couple of honorable mentions. There's not as many on most surprising because these books have to be books that I don't have on my radar really, think are going to be bad. And I have to be like, oh my God, this was great. These aren't necessarily favorites. These could be even 3 stars, or generally these are probably going to be around 4 stars. Basically, they just really surprised me that I enjoyed them as much as I did. So honorable mentions very quickly. We have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood is the very first one. I think I gave this a 4 star. This one just surprised me because I was really scared this was going to be really like erotic fiction romance. I wasn't going to enjoy it. It was touted as this really scary sports romance type of book, and I don't like sports romance that much. This was really fun. Deep End was really fun. It wasn't my favorite Ali Hazelwood. There was still a disconnect from the characters that I was a little disappointed in, kind of like Not in Love. I was a little disconnected from those characters, but I still really enjoyed the plot. I liked what we explored in the plot. I do think it could have gone further with what it did because it was trying to explore a dominant and submissive relationship, but it really didn't do that. I do think Ali Hazelwood kind of stepped her toes in a little bit, but didn't fully get there with this story. But I do think that she is capable of doing that. I think she just needs to take the dive, because, you know, this is a diving and swimming story. Anyway, that was terrible. So I had a really great time with this. I was surprised how much I liked it. I had put it off for a while, and then when I read it, I was like, oh wait, I actually really liked this. So this was a fun one. Next one, The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I feel like any Frida McFadden is gonna be a surprise, because actually I would say The Boyfriend and The Tenant are both surprise books this year, just because of I actually enjoyed them, which is saying something, because I loved the Housemaid series, and then I read a bunch of duds that I did not like, but then I read The Boyfriend. Honestly, was shocked how much I loved that. The book was shocking. I was like, oh my gosh, this book is crazy. I had such a fun time reading this one. I read a lot of Frida McFadden books with my mom. I do think this is a really, really fun one to read with her. So if you do have an interest in a Frida McFadden, you don't know which one to pick, I would pick up The Boyfriend. And then a huge surprise was A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, 5-star, one of my favorite books this year. You can watch the video. I read it for the Romantasy vlog. You can watch the video of me going, yeah, I don't know if I'm really that interested in this one. And then I read it, and it had me sobbing at the end of this book. I read it in one day, I think, and I'm obsessed with the book. I love the characters. I love the story. I love everything about it. It is, again, another cozy fantasy book to add to my enjoyable cozy fantasy books, because those, you know, are few and far between. I loved this. I loved this so much, and I was like in absolute shock that I loved it as much as I did. Okay, moving on to most surprising books of 2025, the actual top 10 list. Coming at number 10, we have Needy Little Things. This was nowhere on my radar. It actually showed up from, I think, Macmillan or Wednesday. I don't remember which one. It showed up from the publisher, and I was like, I don't know what this is. Like, I actively don't know what this is. And so I just read it one day, and I was like, oh, this is actually so good. And it is probably one of the most underrated books that I read in 2025 as well. Like, nobody has heard of this book. I think Sorry Book Solid Jordan, she read it and really enjoyed it as well. It was just so fun. So if you take anything away from this video, definitely go check out Needy Little Things if you're into young adult mysteries, because it was just really cool, and there's a speculative fiction aspect to it as well. Coming in at number 9 is Quicksilver. I feel like that should be higher. I don't know if I exactly ordered these that much, but Quicksilver, I loved Quicksilver. I gave it a 5-star. I feel like there's nothing else to say about that. Nothing else would have surprised me more this year. I have a bunch more things, but yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I think it's again, it was a gateway romantasy book where I read it, and then it kind of opened the doors for me enjoying romantasy more, because I saw what it could be if I really find one that I enjoy. And you know what? Yeah, loved it. It's in my favorites this year. Number 8, we have Silver Elite. This one primarily is on here because people hate this book. They hate it so much. So I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to enjoy it that much, whatever. And then I read it, and I was like, yeah, this is fun. I gave it a 4-star. I mean, it's fine. It's not a good book. This is a turn your brain off, just have fun with dystopian books. And you guys all know I'm a huge fan of dystopian books. So this worked for me. It's, again, writing's rough. The plot is not great, especially the ending. But I had such a fun time with it. Being at number 7 is The Night and the Moth. And this is on here because I did not like One Dark Window. I was not expecting anything from Rachel Gillig, really. I kind of actually read this book thinking I was immediately gonna unhaul my Fairy Loot edition, but then I read it and I was like, oh, this may be one of my favorite books of the year. So again, no one else is more surprised than I am that I ended up loving The Night and the Moth. I loved the characters, I loved the plot. Oh my god, it made me sob. That gargoyle, that gargoyle is easily one of my favorite characters I've read this year, and I even have a poster. I got the Rosie Thorns has a stunning Night in the Moth artwork that she did, and I got a huge poster of it for my birthday. So very excited to hang that up somewhere. It's gorgeous. Coming in at number 6 is The Games Gods Play, and again, this is primarily on here because it is one of the first romantasy books that I read besides Phantasma that I actually enjoyed, and I said, hey, maybe I should be reading more of these books. And I just think this is really fun, and I wasn't expecting to like it because normally I like Hades Persephone, not Hades self-insert, kind of, and that's kind of what this is it's not a Hades Persephone story. It's Hades and a different romance, and normally that's not my vibe. I kind of am a very strictly following like established couples kind of thing. This ended up working for me. I loved the games. I thought this was really good. If you enjoyed Phantasma, I would read this one. If you enjoyed this one, I would read Phantasma. Oh, number 5. Number 5. This is also in my favorites, I think, or at least, is it in my favorites? Yes, it's in my favorites. In an Absent Dream. I don't know what I can say about this book. This is part of the Wayward Children series. This is the one that I did not think I was gonna like. I wanted to skip it. I was like, whatever, it's following one of the teachers of the school. I sobbed the whole book. The whole book, I was sobbing my eyes out. I feel like this easily impacted me the most out of all the Wayward Children series, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it was just one of the most beautifully written books I've ever read, which is crazy to say, but I cannot stop thinking about this little novella. So if you haven't gone to this one yet, definitely let me know when you finally get to it and what you think about it, or if you have read it, what you thought about it. I definitely know that I do think I'm somewhat in the minority for this one, that I actually love this one as much as I did, but it was stunning. Number 4, we have The Man Made of Smoke. This is a surprise because I despised the previous Alex North book that I read. And this book, again, had me crying my eyes out at the end of this book. This was such an impactful thriller mystery. I think it's easily my favorite thriller mystery of the year. I normally don't like books that center around kids. I normally don't love books that are centered more around family in my thriller books because it does have like a kind of a contemporary aspect to it. Oh my goodness, the family dynamic and the ending, the ending of this book and just the storytelling of this, I was shocked. I was shocked that I loved this as much as I did. I mean, at number 3 is Butcher and Blackbird. I feel like this has to be on here because I ended up really liking this book after DNFing it. I DNF'd it 2 years ago, whenever it came out, whenever it was a book of the month. I DNF'd it, and then I didn't really think about it again until people started talking about it and the sequels were coming out and everyone's like, oh my god, it's so good, and I was like, did I not give it a fair shot? Did I not give it a fair shot? And that's kind of what birthed oh god, I don't know why I said it like that, the new series of reading books that I previously didn't like. And so that very first video, Butcher and Blackbird and Not in Love, and I ended up reading both of them and I ended up liking both of them. And so Butcher and Blackbird, I mean, I thought I was just gonna scrap that video and end up DNFing both of them. So the fact that I legitimately very much enjoyed Butcher and Blackbird and have continued in the series, that's a shock. Number 2, we have Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I know this is a bit of an odd pick for number 2 of Most Surprised because I've liked Grady Hendrix in the past. I've given Grady Hendrix a 5-star. I gave Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires 4 stars. Final Girl Support Group was the 5-star. However, this story is specifically about pregnancy, and I don't read books like that. This was a scary, scary, scary pick for me, but once I read it, masterpiece. Masterpiece, the way that he wrote women in this book. And some people do disagree, but if you read like his interviews about this book and stuff like that, he talked to so many experts, so many people, filtered this book through so many women to make sure that women were represented well in this book. And people talk a lot about how like men should not be writing women, men should not be writing a women's experience. But if you do it with respect and you do it with an eye of the pain that women have been through in history, it's totally fine, because he nailed it. He nailed a female experience that I think a lot of women would struggle to nail if they don't do this level of research into the past. And I'm so impressed with it. I loved this book. Again, this book also made me cry. I feel like most of these surprising books made me cry. Huge fan of that. Yet again, Grady Hendrix always surprises me, sometimes in not the best ways, like the puppet book, but you know, a lot of the times it's in a good way. And finally, our most surprising book of this year is She's a Lamb. This book, I cannot stop thinking about it, and I think it's got to be a 5-star. I originally gave it a 4-star, but I think I have to give it 5 stars because it is just stuck in my head. I still don't think it's like one of my favorite books of the year, but what it did, the descent into madness, was so masterful. The fact that this is one of the most detestable characters I've ever read in a book, and I still was reading it, because a lot of times I don't enjoy reading super actually bad, unlikable characters, and this person legitimately is a bad person. You're following a character who is an aspiring actress specifically for musicals. She thinks musicals are the peak of all art. She wants to be a Broadway actress and be in the theater. It is her descent into madness trying to follow this dream, and you don't know exactly what is real and what is not, and she legitimately is a horrible person, and you're watching it like it's a train wreck, and you're rooting for her downfall, and at the same time you're like, oh no, don't do that, please don't do what you're doing. But it's like, I love this book, and I'm really excited. I'm gonna get a physical copy of it. I don't have a physical copy of it. I really need to get a physical copy of this book. So those are my most surprising books of 2025. I really enjoyed every single book on this list. I wish I had more. I always want more best and more most surprising than I do of worst and most disappointing. And unfortunately, I think this year I had more disappointing and worse books. So hopefully 2026 will turn that around. But this was my most surprising books list. If you made it this far into the video, let's see, I think if they have a mask, like anything that has to do with theater or a play, I think there's like a weird mask or something like that. If not, just leave an emoji if there's nothing that follows that. If you made it this far, leave that type of emoji. Definitely like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. We've still got worst books, best books, and DNFs to go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.